The Tinker case arose out of a demonstration, a peaceful, silent demonstration by a number of middle and high school students in the Des Moines, Iowa public schools in 1965 at the height of the beginning to be very controversial Vietnam War. And these students decided to wear to school black armbands to convey their peaceful protest of the war. The named plaintiffs in the case, Mary Beth and John Tinker, were asked to remove their black armbands. They refused to do that, so they were suspended. In Tinker versus Des Moines, a landmark 1969 Supreme Court decision, the question was whether, and if so to what extent, students at public schools have First Amendment rights of free expression. The court had never directly addressed that critically important question. And in other prior cases involving the public schools, the Supreme Court had consistently shown a very strong deference to public officials in their power to set curriculum, impose discipline, and basically run the public schools. The Tinkers basically argued that there had been absolutely no evidence of any kind of disruption to the educational process. Speech by young people is protected by the Constitution, including speech that takes place in public schools. The school district, as all good advocates, has multiple arguments. The most general argument is that the Supreme Court should defer to the expertise and wisdom and experience of those who run our local school systems. But the school board also argued that a potential disruption and potential emotional trauma to the students should be enough to justify suppressing this particular symbolic expression. The outcome of the case was a victory by a 7-2 vote for the Tinkers and against the Des Moines School District, holding that there had been no justification for suspending the students in that case. Justice Fortas, who wrote the majority opinion, relied on a very robust concept of the importance of instilling respect for freedom of speech on the part of students in our public schools. Justice Harlan wrote a quite narrow, temperate dissenting opinion in contrast to Justice Black, who wrote a very sweeping and extremely emotional, passionate dissent. Justice Black was making an argument about limited judicial power and against what is usually assailed as judicial activism, that these nine unelected Supreme Court justices are purporting to act as a super school board. Tinker versus Des Moines was the Supreme Court's 1969 landmark decision that for the first time explicitly recognized that in the public schools, neither teachers nor students shed their constitutional rights to free speech at the schoolhouse gate. That mere fear or discomfort arising from controversial and unpopular expression is not a justification for school censorship. Expression in the public schools may be suppressed if, but only if, the school can satisfy an appropriately heavy burden of showing that the expression is going to cause a material or substantial disruption of the educational process or interfere with the rights of others.